Hello, my creative friends. I'm Heather North from heatherscreativeblessings.com. I am here with another bullet journal planner video for you. Before I get to my setup, I wanted to share with you a small haul I got from Target. Several stores have started putting out their back to school supplies, and I love back to school supplies. I just can't help myself. I love pens and paper and ink and notebooks and all those kinds of things. So I needed to replace my fine tip Sharpie pens. I grabbed those, and I've really been liking my Pilot G2 pen. I have a .38 or .30 size. This set had a .7, but it came with this silver pen, so I just had to try it out. And really the writing of it is very similar. But the most important thing that I got is this graph ruled composition notebook. Composition books are often used in math, science, drawing, architecture type classes, and they are very difficult to find other times of the year. But it's back to school time, you can find them in all the stores that carry back to school supplies usually. You just have to look for that graph or grid line. You can see it's a little bit wider and a little bit shorter than my B5 Leuchtturm, so it's also a great size. And inside it has all of these little squares. You can use this in the place of a Leuchtturm or a Moleskine planner, especially if they're difficult to find in your area. I'm going to do a quick comparison for you. You can see the composition book is a much brighter white than the Leuchtturm is, and it has squares instead of the dots. Now, both work great for doing your bullet journal planners, but I also use mine for doing my quilt designs and card designs. You can play with the different elements in there, and I've used it for some creative lettering. I'm practicing my handwriting. In the inside of these composition books is often a schedule or a chart on the pages, on the covers. What I do is I either take a pretty piece of paper and glue it or tape it down, or I'll just take a couple pages from the notebook to cover that up. You can also sometimes find graph or grid reams of paper. You know how they sell the wide ruled and college ruled paper loose leaf? Well, you can find those in the graph and grid, and you can put it in your own little binder and use it to practice your layouts or designs or different things that way too. If I can find an Amazon link for you guys, I will. So now back to my Leuchtturm 1917 B5 notebook. I have filled in some of the front pages of my notebook, and I thought I would share it with you. This first page is for my kids, Michael and Tyler, with their schedules and different things that I need to keep track of, some phone numbers. And this is probably what I am most proud of right here, this page. Recently we had the Stamp of Approval Lovely Notes collection release, and so I took the stamps from that release and stamped them out on the top, and then I wrote down the different products. Not all the products have the names on the back, and so it can be difficult to remember who it was designed by, what the name was, and I flip back to this all the time when I was doing my work for the Lovely Notes collection. There were also just, you can see a ton, well maybe, I don't know, 8, 10 different dates that I needed to keep track of, deadlines for my projects being due, or the blog hop, or the PDF submission, all of that. So I kept track of it all in one place, and I loved it. I will be doing this for all of the future releases. You see on the right hand side here, I've got a page full of post-it notes. This is for Calling All Sisters blog hop. The blog hop we do on the 17th of the month to remind all of our sisters to do their monthly self-breast exams and schedule their yearly mammograms. And it changes from month to month, so I just have it on a post-it note there. I haven't put it in my regular bullet journal, and I think I might keep doing it that way because it's easy to change things around. Here is my July layout with all of the dates and appointments for our family. I highlighted different things like family coming to visit over several days, and I also highlighted my son's different work schedules and things like that. This is my weekly layout, and I used a red highlighter for one of my sons and a blue highlighter for the other. I also use the same color pen to keep track of their work schedules, cross-country, driver's ed, that kind of thing, and then purple for myself. I've got the daily layouts underneath the weekly, and one of the things I like is instead of carrying over a task that doesn't get completed to the next day and the next day and the next day, I just keep it in that day until I get it done, and I can just fill in the box. I didn't do this all month, but this week I did fill in and draw little cards that I made that were on my blog that week, so that's what you see in that section there. And then I also highlighted, we have family visiting, I highlighted that. I took a trip down to California to see my sick grandparents, and I highlighted that. And I still have my daily tasks, and I still write things like on Tuesday, I need to get these things done. But if I don't get Monday's tasks done, I will also mentally add them, but I don't need to keep writing it over and over again. I can just see that that box isn't filled out, so I need to fill it out. And if it doesn't get done all week, I will put a line through it or a little arrow, and I'll move it over to the next week. It's been working really well for me. You might see that these are highlighted, the dates are highlighted beneath. Before I had just done it up at the top, but I was having trouble figuring out what day of the week it was. Not day, but the date. And so I highlighted the whole day, and then I tried highlighting just a little number at the top, and went back and forth to see what would work best for me. And then I've got my bill pay chart here. So for the rest of the month, I've got it all set out. I've got the days of the week on the left, and then I put a little box, and then the name of the bill that needs to be paid, or let's say it's license is due, or health insurance needs to be sent in. I'll write those down, and then I'll check off the box as they get paid. I do a lot of things online, and so this is just an easy way to keep track of it. I also have some cards with a no interest plan if they're paid in full by a certain date. So what I did, for example, there's Best Buy. I've got the amount I need to pay each month for the remaining 5 months in order to have it paid in full. And this helps to keep me on track and make sure I don't incur those interest charges if they don't get paid. Now you can decorate this any way you want. You can use some stickers or stamps. I just used my pen and drew a kind of a banner over my July. I'm going to do a little something different in August. You'll see in just a minute. The page after that is waiting on, and that is for any of my anything that I order, or if I'm waiting to hear back from somebody, or like my stamp of approval will be coming in August. Yay, the Christmas box is coming, so I'll put that in there. Anything that I'm waiting to arrive or waiting to hear back from. And that's a wrap up for my July. Let's get started on my August. I decided to add some stamping to my August bills just to make it a little more fun, and August reminds me of the sun, so I'm going to be using this Bring on the Sun stamp set from Technique Tuesday and some oranges and yellow for just a little splash of color. Just in case you've never done any stamping, I just mounted that on a clear block. It's a little sun stamp that's clear on a clear block. And then I'm using some daffodil ink from Stampin' Up, and I'm just going to stamp my sun across the top and one little one at the bottom. And then I'm going to grab this little decorative piece, and I'm going to line it up on my grid mat to pick it up. See, it's right there on that line, and then when I pick it up, it will be straight. And then I'm going to use some crisp cantaloupe ink. This is also from Stampin' Up. I haven't used this particular stamp in the set before, so I am just stamping it off on a piece of scrap paper. And I was going to stamp at the bottom. Oh, and I did. I thought maybe I didn't. It just adds a little something to your page. And couldn't we all use just a little more fun when it comes to paying the bills? I know I can. So when I'm going to do my August layout, and I first look at the front of my bullet journal to see how many weeks there are. There were 6 in July, there are 5 in August, so I went back to June where there's 6, and I'm just counting it out so that I can have it the way it was before. It's just easier if I count and do what I've done before. So I'm going down, I think that's 4 dots for this one, and then I go down. Well, actually, I went down 6. That's what I used to do in my A5 size. So if you're using that smaller A5 Moleskine or Leuchtturm, I think it's 6 by 6. But for this bigger B5 size, I'm doing 8 by 8. So I'm just counting 8 tick marks down, and then I'll count 8 tick marks across. Yep, just checking. And I'm going to mark out this entire thing, and then I will draw it in just with a sketch hand with my lay pen pen. You could use a ruler if you want it perfectly straight, but I found that I was messing up, and it just looked better to have that sketchy look by not using my ruler. Also, because the month ends on, I think, a Wednesday, I put a little scribble pencil mark, a really light one, so that I wouldn't draw that line all the way down through the days where there are no days. I'm going to decorate that part down there. I start my month on a Sunday because that is the traditional calendar, and I'm so used to doing it that way that I kind of have to. But you can start on any day of the week. On my weeklies, I start on Monday, so I do those different. But I can't look at a calendar starting on a Monday and get my days right. I just can't. So then I take my little click eraser and I erase all of the pencil marks. And then I'm practicing with a couple of newer highlighters I haven't used before or used in my planner to see which color combination I like with my different color pens. And I'll have a supply list down below so you can see all of this. But the back page of my journal I like to use for pen tests. This Bring on the Sun stamp set comes with some great quotes for sunshine, and I just chose one of them and stamped that out on the bottom in smoky slate. And then I took the crisp cantaloupe ink and stamped the sun. And then I used my zig marker to color, and before I realized, oh, I could just use my highlighter, and I used that for the sun rays. And when I flip this over, you'll see that there's not much ghosting with either one. Neither one bled all the way through, so that was nice. And again, I'm going to use my highlighters to just highlight the different dates that things are going on and families visiting. I used a gray highlighter to separate the top of the day from the bottom of each day. The bottom part is for my blog, business, and YouTube. The top part is for my family. And once again, I mostly just put appointments and dates and things that are happening, schedules on these pages here. I also decided to write out each of the dates on the right where something's going on. There's a few birthdays and things, just to keep track of it in two separate ways. I'm going to use the same washi tape that I used on my monthly for my weekly and daily layouts. So again, I just take the washi tape across the top of my page and I'm lining it up with the dots along the top so that it gets to be fairly even. And then I cut the excess off with my little scissors. I'm going to do all 5 weeks and then I'll work on my weekly layouts. I like to add a little tab for each of my monthly calendars just so it's easy to flip back and forth to. So it will also be a tab for my waiting on because that's what's on the back of my August. I just tack it to one side and then tack it to the other, and then it's a quick visual and easy grab to go right to those pages. The top of my weekly is the same as my calendar. I've got one line for the days of the week, and then I go down, I think 5 lines this time, and then I'm going to go across 8, except that time I did 7. So one of my favorite tools is this little mini correction tape by Tombow. And I just erased the line that I made and erased another line. Once I get this thing out, I got to keep using it, right? I decided I better grab my pencil and mark it out. So again, they go across, each of my boxes go across 8, and then the first one goes down, I think I said 5, and then I go down 2 more boxes. The top box is for my family stuff, and the next 2 lines are for my meal planning. Then I skip a line, and this is where my blog, business, etc. go. I go down 5 lines. This is for my blog, Creative Blessings. Then I'll go down 3 lines. This is for Stamp Nation and Stamp of Approval. And then I'll go down 2 lines. This is for South Sound Modern Quilt Guild. And then 3 lines, 2 or 3 lines for Calling All Sisters, depending on which time of the month it is, whether I need more space or less. And then I split that bottom portion in half one way. I just used my gray pen this time. And then I split it in half the other way as well. And I'm going to fill in each day of the week. And then that last box is for next week. So these down here are for my daily to-dos, Monday through Sunday this time. I do my weekly different than my monthly. And then if there's something that needs to be done next week, I just put it down there as a little reminder. Maybe birthdays coming up or things need to be mailed out, etc. I'm still experimenting with the way I'm labeling the dates down below. So I did a highlighter little box this time and wrote in the numbers, and then the day before I highlighted it and didn't really show up, so I'm going over the highlight with my pen. I'll just keep trying until I find what works best for me. And now I grab my Plan On It stamps from Lawn Fawn. I've got a little envelope for when I need to mail things out. These are especially for birthday cards and things like that. And then I also have a little finger pointing to an important date. I am volunteering at the Thurston County Fair, our local fair, for the South Sound Modern Quilt Guild. If you are local, head on out there on August 3rd. It's the first day of the fair, and you can see me between 1:30 and 5 in the quilting, I don't know what they call that booth, textiles maybe? Anyways, come find me and say hi. Continue to fill this out until it's completed, but this is it for my video for my August bullet journal planner. If you are watching on YouTube and you like my video, be sure and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and be sure and check out my bullet journal planner playlist. I will have links down below and over on my blog. I'll also have these pictures close up if you want to check them out over on my blog. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you find some time today to get creative. Bye!